introduce you to our first speaker of the day, and this is the great Rahul Lodhe, who has been with us in previous conferences and always has a masterclass when it comes to the applications of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and intelligent automation. Rahul is the Senior Director of SAP Artificial Intelligence with more than 20 years of experience. He is responsible for the artificial intelligence platform for realizing and scaling AI and machine learning use cases for multiple industries and lines of business. He's a thought leader and speaker in external forums for artificial intelligence and played a key role in the COVID-19 technology-based government policy and responses in India. His team has been at the forefront of multiple awards and recognitions in recent times, and Rahul himself was awarded the Star Leader of SAP in India in 2020. Rahul, it's always a pleasure to learn from you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sharing your expertise and wisdom with our global audience today.
Thank you, Josh. It's my pleasure to be being come to this platform and share knowledge with larger audience as such. But it's always been a quite pleasureful journey, I would say, to be coming into the platform and showing it to everyone. So it's pleasure is all mine, and I would say that thank you very much for inviting me here. Just can you still hear me? I can hear you.
Yes, we're good. You can go ahead and share your presentation and carry on.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So welcome everyone to the first session of the day. I would say it's been a maybe warming up time for all of us here, and just to want to get you started with the AI journey that we are taking up. So I'm hoping this topic is not new to you, but we would not get into the much of a high-level discussions about what we would be heading towards. But I think important topic here is that what is the AI adoption that we are looking forward to, especially the enterprise world. So I do work with, as you heard from Josh, is mostly on the enterprise customers in the SAP world, and also responsible for developing the AI platform for the enterprise customers. So most of the work goes around that side to study the platform and see what exactly we could do for bring up to our customers and the reading and knowledge around the enterprise AI readiness perspective here. So before we get into the complete strategy part, I just want to quickly share with you what are the key trends at this point of time for AI, which is been there or which we see in the which we investigated or invested from the industry point of view, so we can relate them with what are the barriers that enterprises need to take forward from the adoption aspects. So the first and foremost is the part is that we see the better prediction in the shorter time. So I think this is one of the component that been getting improvised. There are a lot of new models being come there. The systems will become smarter and faster to adopt the new algorithms, I would say. Something which has changed during COVID time. So I just said there's been opportunity in difficult times that we find out. And during COVID time, when we are actually working on the multiple models, we really didn't had a lot of data in the past to relate them to make it a very significant prediction as such. Because if you see when we enter into the COVID era, it was just that we had few months of data. Our supply chain has been in the past driving the prediction from 3 years, 4 years, 10 years or decade of data. But suddenly people started working from home. There's a lockdown imposed many things. The use cases has changed on the shorter period of time, right? So even the supplies and demand pattern that we used to have has been completely spin through. And what we had to depend on is the very small set of data which has been generated into the these shorter cycles, and that to be in different countries. So for example, let's say if we were doing that point of time prediction for how the COVID virus could be spreading it, right? And based on that, if you had to make a assessment that how many beds required for the government to supply in particular areas, we really don't have so much of data. We have to use for different modeling system, simulation system to make that happen, and that's push us to find out the better prediction, I would say, and really ensure that how could accommodate such kind of situation, and not really only build a prediction and the sample based on a huge amount of data, but how can make with the shorter sample and still give the right prediction to the context. So that's something which been changed, or I'd say still changing the boundaries to how we can make things much more better as well. Second part is the where I think the another disruption happening is all the NLP areas, the language processing that we have, NLP, NLQs, and also how our conversation and the interface to be changing around the acting. So I'm sure you're all aware of the disruption happening with the Alexas, Google. There is new bot. I think recently we also came out with the robotics from Amazon as well. So this is the area which is pretty exciting, I would say. This is the area that's something going to take us to the next level altogether for us, where the interface of working with the system, the interface that we are interacting, is no more going to be your keyboard. I think most of time we spend nowadays with the keyboard and working on our system. If you see last decade to this decade, things has been already changed, right? Most of us moved from the shorter things. There are many prediction system. Google can predict before you write something what text what you have to write, right, in your email. So slowly the conversation or the interaction interfaces are going to be with in the form of the conversation with the systems, which is already usually started happening there. It may make human more lazy, but human will find there's other opportunities to invent something new with that given flexibility, and humankind is been evolving around finding something more interesting and innovative. But that's where all over the technology will take us to the next level, where the interaction with system is more with the conversation way, rather than the typing or giving so many commands or saying lot of stuff happening there. I mean, you also heard about this low code, no code technology, which has been coming very faster way, which also been losing the interaction with even the developer interaction, losing with the systems as such there. So you like it or not, but this is going to be a future where less interaction with the system and more the verbal communication, where system able to respond to you in a right way. That's something is happening right now, and a lot of work will happen in the coming years. Hyper automation, so it's another part. Different way it can be experienced, but it's a one more exciting area for the whole I think AI community as such, because this is the area where we are reducing dependency with the long transactional processes. We are using machine learning or AI in a right way to reduce the repetitive or redundant tasks been so far done, and that's where the efficiency and fasterness in the system could come. The things which are happening for years, that could happen now just in the matter of a few months, or maybe let's see your payroll which was running earlier, or let's say simple as doing the approval process, right, within the organization, where someone asks for, I want particular laptop, you send the mail to the IT review, like take your mail, review, then he create a shopping cart, then it create the purchase order, and then they check whether you are eligible or not, and they look for approval process to go in, and then your order get placed. So there's at least the 5-step human process which involved to happen that approval today, using the RPA, or what we call as a robotic automation, using the concept of hyper automation and machine learning, where you could just have mail sent, bot will read your mail, it will inference, change your text into the OCR format, and then it will identify, okay, you're looking for a particular kind of atom of the laptop you want to order. System goes in the back end, check your eligibility directly, create a purchase order, and then this could be validated only one time before it's releasing to vendor, saying that all those things fine or not. And also based on your past history and your purchasing pattern, your eligibility get calculated, and these can be auto approved by the system rather than someone manually approving, which is anyway the past record shows that you have been approving. So the process which takes 4 people involved in the past is just maybe the one click that someone has to validate that to be initial stage. You'll get confidence on system. You can also directly just do it without any intervention, and you have been released to the vendor without any complications in this case, just in a matter of a minute maybe, happening everything in the system as well. So that's what we call as hyper automation, which transforming the enterprises quite drastically, and the exciting field in there. Nevertheless, the very important part is what need to be happen is the AI ethics topic, where we have to ensure that whatever we are building or whatever we are doing behind the system has to be explainable, and there has to be the proper traceability. There is no data protection privacy that we are violating, because all we are playing with the data. All what we are doing is good thing, but everything can be used for a wrong purposes. End of the day, it's machine, it's not human, it doesn't have emotion, and doesn't have intelligence. So it's all data that you feed to make things there. That's what you expect to be get out the output there. Now there has to be some checks and balances when it comes to the when it comes to be the analyzing the right data, when it comes to be the putting the right output to the whole data. And that's where the AI ethics and responsible AI is become very important part. There's a lot of explainability around the algorithms being there, defined, and there are going to be a lot of laws around it. Already government has been started talking about what to be productized in AI way, how you are using your data protection privacy, how you ensure that the model is not biased and it's not trained on the biased data. So you are blindly depending on the model for doing certain operation. So it's not going to be the free ticket, I would say, for anyone who come with the good ideas and want to disrupt the complete field, and just use your data which is available on the cloud for doing take the business. There are going to be a lot of checks and balances. It's already been there. There have been, I think, European Union has came up with the AI ethics policy as well, and the many enterprises has to comply that. This policy is going to refine furthermore, but this is something which we have to take in account when we build the AI in the systems or want to disrupt with the AI. Another exciting field that's been popped up, and you see a lot of cyber security, cyber attack been happening around the places. So there's no ways that we continue that, and lot of code been written to stop the attack, but AI would be is playing the vital role there. And there been an algorithm and studies and separate wing is working on many places to stop those attacks, and cyber security is becoming a very important part of the AI in this case. So the investigation happening on this direction, where how AI can be or can be the place where we could can write these key algorithms, and they could stop or interface this attack, or can be predict also that from where it's coming, what kind of the malware function could be happen there, and there are a lot of algorithms around that. So this is another field which is rapidly, I would say, the building it at the same time. Nothing can be done without your having the right data with you. So the accessing the data which enabling the ubiquity. So the data is making artificial intelligence more versatile. That's for sure. And the data access enabling the ubiquity is one of the, I would say, recent artificial intelligence innovation during this year. Reliable and accurate information helps the businesses to shift the AI-powered automated decision-making system. It also has cut the operational cost, streamlining the processes, and also improve the research capability for the many organization. I mean, for example, let's say the developers of a autonomous car software can access a lot of driving data when it's running on there without driving the vehicle. And soon this will witness a drastic increase of the application of AI in the real world because of the simulations. And as the AI becomes more and more sophisticated, it will cause the cost effectiveness and the widespread of the availability of a crucial data, and that's why this field has to be again evolved around the one of the trend in the AI at the moment. So these are the key trends that I would say we are to watchful of, and innovation happening on this field. They would be going to evolve further on. Now, more importantly, that topic that we want to touch upon today is that how the enterprises can take benefit of it, how enterprises are disrupting to adopt the AI, and uh, how those technologies that we spoke about are transforming into the getting into the AI space directly. Let's look at firstly the ability, efficiency, and innovation are ever more important for the today's environment, and how is today's environment is evolving. And I'm sure all the participants would agree to this analogy that today's reality has changed, right? I mean, what you see was fact 5 years back was not true today. Many things have been disrupting as we are going around. Companies really need to rethink their business models to match their customer needs. What can be world next event that change our reality? No one can predict immediately. There is climate change, political instability, something like COVID can come up. But in any case, be able to adopt our businesses is the business continuity and concern opportunity to thrive. The harmonized business processes save the time and reduce the cause data error. But also, they are the prerequisite for applying the AI and the innovative at the scale. Are you, I mean, there is opportunity, right, in the customer space as well. And the true omni-channel context experiences. Innovation is a continuum, and once you create the culture of innovation to support with the right environment, it will allow you to continuously adapt. Like no other time, we all have seen the news how important supply chain and are made the demand of the consumers. Connected businesses, ecosystems make possible the integrations that we need to have this integration to be done. Information has expiry date, so you can't imagine that once you start something, it just get uh, used at the same pace forever. You can deliver real-time data to your customers, employees, partners, and the other at the right time. When you think about the integration is the first phase of idea that need to be innovation. There are complex landscapes. It's another reality that we need to face. That there are multiple cloud tools. There's a hybrid environment is a reality now. I mean, most of you have been working in the enterprises for a long time. You would also have seen how the different organizations has been using the different cloud systems. There are the hyperscalers that we work upon. There's a hybrid world, which is like, yeah, you have something on the cloud, something on the on-prem, data coming from somewhere, storing somewhere, because everything is not can be different as the one monolithic system in the current world, and integrating those all of them together is being to the very important aspect, and that's need to be enabled and think through to the new business model for every one of enterprises as well here. So we are in the constant change world right now, and we have to embrace this change. The change is something that we can't just give away, thinking that, okay, now things are done, and I could, done for it. The world is evolving at a faster pace, and how we continuously adopt this change cycle is something which is the most important part at the moment, I would say. Uh, then the potential of that intelligent technology. So the artificial intelligence is no longer the future. For businesses, it's here and it's now already available for us. So we've been talking like 3 years or 4 years back when we thought that, okay, now AI is coming up and we will have some substantial output, and maybe my business will still take some time to evolve it. But I think it's coming at the faster pace that we can think of there. This fact is proven by the statistics. We already have, uh, again, validated by the statistics which have been released daily. This shows that urgently the many sphere of businesses are in need for the AI and the impact it could have. Gartner and McKinsey look a deeper look into the few areas which I want to highlight here, but because they are mainly categorized in the three areas. One is the supply chain, procurement, and the finance. These are the key areas which should look at the more impact. More than 50% of supply chain operation will use AI. I mean, advanced analytics and IoT by 2023. Maybe, yeah, less than 3 years as well. Almost 60% of individual tasks involved in the source to pay process have the potential to be fully or largely automated using currently available technologies. About 50% of the overall time in the workforce, in finance, and in the insurance devoted to collecting and processing data, where the potential of automation is high. These numbers seems to be more realistic to us when we look into the experiences we have with our customers. So, and then that's where we look at the potentially how things would have the more important way. Now, looking at the current scale of the artificial intelligence, and yeah, we would also need to evaluate that whether the artificial intelligence has been still been having uh, the same analysis holds through. But the artificial intelligence has failed to live the hype. I mean, it's not that every company want to be the next disruptor in the industry, and every company knows that AI will help them to achieve this. But only the handful of companies have been successfully done it at the AI scale. They're like not becoming like a rock star. It seems to be a simple enough. Put the band together, get the instrument, put the few hits, and the next stop is the fame to future. But the reality is the success rate is much the same. Like the most of the rock stars, the best make look simple, but the success rate is not that high. So the significant challenge is being to overcome that success rate. If you look at the result of the recent surveys, the companies are struggling to become a rock star because of the main lead trend. So there's 85% of models that are developed fail to make the promote to the production, and that's a reality is as today as well, though the survey might be a little older. But I think we continue to have this challenge of getting the right model. 50% companies says that this is due to the complexity of a development, implementation, or deploying to the solution and to their environment, because they feel their environment is pretty unique to to themselves. And also there is a lot of skill gap at the moment, and I think there's a gap to be of a data science to be increased for, let's say, 2024, when we look at how the production going to be happen. But they're going to be shortage all around the world, not only in US, of a good skill, and something that if you're hiring at this point of time, you'll also figure out that there been the market has been pretty dynamic at the moment. If the companies are going to be successful with AI, the new approach is required, and one that ensure that the AI is no longer just a lab experiment, or bleeding edge technology, but scale practice, which is the idea, are rapidly developed into the meaningful and production ready model, where are the where the complexity is removed from the process, and uh, where the skill gap is addressed through the combination of automation and the specialization. So we get looking at these trends. These are the one versus you also check out with the where all the things has been going on there. But yeah, there are also with a lot of bright side of the things that happening, but these are challenges that we need to consider it. Let's look at what is the enterprise AI is all about before we deep dive into the strategy part for the enterprise AI that we have to check out here. So the enterprise AI is basically had these three ingredients. One is the product strategy, data strategy, and the AI strategy. So it's not only the AI strategy that would lead you to the complete outcome. And this is the way SAP look at it to deliver the intelligent suite. It's always been the whatever we consume, whatever we bring it as a form of the AI, it has to be consumable into the cloud industry. It has to be consumable for your complete business suite that you are making. So your product strategy for the businesses, your product strategy for the business and the value driven AI that we call of, it's always been look at the value that been provided. And then it comes to your data strategy. So where is your data coming on? There is your data flowing from all your application into the right data lake, a data pane. There has been to the compliance part or not. There been a DPP is in place or not. So the central data architecture and the one data model has the combination of the aspects to be bringing up for this concept. And then thirdly, you look at it the what are the AI tooling that you are using, AI processes that you implement, AI assets that you bring it up in order to ensure that you are addressing the complete loop of the enterprise AI and pulling that data, pushing that inference that coming from machine learning to your applications directly. So typically, the difference between the enterprise AI and the normal AI is that enterprise AI is not lead to the POC. Enterprise AI, if you're thinking to make the disruption at your businesses, you have to start thinking from a data layer first. You have to start thinking from the complete loop where the data is coming from, and that data you have to manage to bring it in a right way, which can be adaptable to your businesses and can be utilized for the AI tool in order to produce the right output, and those output that you're producing has to consume by our applications again. So it's a complete cycle that you have to think of it, and not only the POC, because you can always make a normal AI project which can give you the very good POC and the status and the output defined, which is very straightforward. But it will not able to live longer unless you have the complete aspects been defined or considered. They will not see the production rate if you're not thinking from a end-to-end point of view. Let's look at what are the different ingredients go to the AI strategy that as we get started. So first and foremost, we need to think of how you can maximize the value of your data, because data is the important part there. So the processes to curate the diverse data, transform the raw data into the reusable assets, operationalizing your machine learning. So the important that you should first start looking at the data part, how you want to curate it. Then the simplifying and unifying your data sets. So centralizing the management across the distribution data sets, automatically index the data, search across all the data. So unless you're able to not crawl them across the different data set, or you are getting the data from the simplified developer lifecycle, because you cannot able to leverage your APIs and tools and the different data source unless you are not getting data from the same place as such. You're not able to use all the power of data unless they are not interconnected to each other. So you have to have very good data orchestration mechanism where you are able to able to get the right connection to them and identification of the data. Third one is important is that to uh, they discover the they bring the trust also into the data, and as well the discover and profile data, gain the deeper understanding and automate the quality of refining, improving, tracking the data, and the data lineage part as well there. And then you have to also think of how we are going to build the machine learning model, make it seamless, deploy it confidently, and also scale it. So it's not only that you start doing things, but also you have to look at how you are deploying and improving the overall scalability of the data and the model as well there. Then I would say the important part is the how you make the simplest compliance, and also the data ethics, data protection, privacy, harmonization policy, so seamless of the data. So all these ingredients should be going to your overall cycle of the enterprise AI when you are defining it. Definitely, you have to start small, and then you have to go into the more detailed areas as such there. Now, when you start up adopting it, when you start up implementing it, there are other key factors that we have to look at from the adoption point of view. So definitely uh, the enterprise AI is the holistic approach to the machine learning and integration into the production landscape and applications with the possible extensions with the chatbot, conversational AI, intelligent robotic process automation, and truly something like a scalable, gone, and the transparent way of rapidly deliver the business value in the form of the data, business data that would pick it there. But this could be do with maybe the, I would say, three distinct way. Yeah. Uh, Firstly, with the comprehensive set of intelligent information management system and capabilities that we have, we make it possible to manage the data and drives the entire AI process, making it possible for the IT architects or enterprise architects, right? Data engineers, data management professional to eliminate the data silos that are there right now exist in your organization, and at the data need to be the data scientist team need to be made available in a gone manner with the tool and the health profile and preparation and merge data scientist team. They rapidly get to the data sets, and the data sets are very important to gather in order to get the right output to move to the next phase. The next phase is mostly the experimentation phase. So not just the development of the model themselves using the tools, your data, the data scientists want to so like the different tools that are available in the market. So there's a lot of open source tool that they want to do to manage their expedition, like Jupyter Lab notebook for the writing it. Then they need the runtime environment. They would use the frameworks to work their work, like the R, Python, TensorFlow. But the rapid provisioning of this environment, thanks to our, I mean, the way it's been forming with the container-based approach, and the DevOps team can support to the data scientists by creating a cloud laboratory kind of environment where the infrastructure requirement and the framework for the each data scientist required, but the surprise from the all other environments that something could be operate independently for them. So once the provision the data scientist team can work in a notebook kind of environment to develop the models using the open source framework, and the framework are pre-trained. I would say the services and visual pipeline, UI-based modeling can be done. The experiment version can be managed for the each business scenarios. So the team can explore the various potential solutions and the models, and easy to test and iterate until they arrive to the potential to the models which we like to be in the production, for example there. And finally, it's a managing part of, right, and that's when you manage your machine learning as the models that you like to manage to take it further. and the managing the delivery models to the production by promoting the container based approach, the production ready containers. That's something you would like to bring it there. Underlying all are the principle, the transparency, reusability. So the model and the pipeline can be reused. The combination of a trace, the trace through the entire process. Each data sets can be stored and curated for the future use. And each model and the pipeline can be reused, replicated, modified, and then reserve that the next time it can be used for the data science platform as well. So whatever we build from a scratch, that's something need to be there, and the delivery mechanism to be to bring it in there. The second important aspects to this is the of the equation is also the information management system, and how do we manage the information, which is the kind of, I would say, the bedrock of not just the enterprise AI, but also the foundation for the business application transformation. IoT management, you have the orchestration, the data warehouse, and the reporting, just to the name a few of the additional use cases. As we have discussed, information landscapes of most of the companies have been undergone through the rapid evaluation, with the many organizations struggle to the sometimes failing to keep the pace with the barely stay on the top of the rapidly shifting of the overall requirement, and has led to this sprawl of the new tools and approaches, and often manually leading to the significant IT resources of revealing the historic information management approach. The SAP did, I mean, been providing a lot of such kind of redesigning tool on the ground as well. But just to taking to the comprehensive view of the modern distributed landscape and how we wanted to use and orchestrate them together, go on then apply in order to serve your orchestration at the end. So whenever we look at the data management, information management aspect along with the machine learning aspect, those has to go hand in hand to cater your enterprise strategy as such. The one important part that we had to also look at it is the foundation of the foundation of the whole AI, looking at the enterprise way, has to look like assembly line, and this assembly line could be taken up from the step-by-step approach, where either you get the structured data, unstructured data, you connect them together as such, and then you have the learning phase. So once your connection is done, you use the orchestration, you have to have the agile data preparation, use the machine learning tooling, you use the deep learning tooling in this case in order to orchestrate them end to end, and then make it the more important, meaningful outcome for the model that you want to build it up. And then importantly, you look at the scaling part of it. So it's not that the model that you prepare once, it can't leave it as its own for a long life unless you don't monitor it, you don't deploy it, you don't refine it further, and also you don't replace and look at for the lifespan of the model, which can be used again. So these are the key cycles that would be taken up. But final and the important part is the consumption of the model as well. And this is where the key part comes, and we complete our enterprise story here, where the data that the model that we are building is get consumed in a seamless way for the applications. Either you use this application for the automation, you use this application for the visualization or your personal interactions as such there. So look at that, how end-to-end story to be come across is very importantly to be look at how you are strategizing your whole process in order to connectivity to the consumption part, and again moving on that cycle as well. What is the other important part that we need to ensure that, as we spoke sometime about the whole this when it comes to the processing the data, right? It can be execute and orchestrate on the different kind of the technology space that this should be working upon. And we typically try to embrace the open stack, and you could have used the native runtime engine, because as we see, your data scientists repeatedly need to embrace many new open source technologies, and at the same time you need to also get the right consumption part to here. So you need to be to look at how you use the technologies that are available at your disposal, using the scalar to, using the different Kubernetes, Docker that you can run on the any of choice of hyperscalers, but it has to be scalable enough. It is not to be constrained you with the fact of what you're building is a monolithic process, because any AI solution that you build, if you're not building that from a scaling point of view, it will not survive much, because it's all depend on the data, and data can drastically increase it. Also, the one solution you are building for one region, there has to also comply for different regions. One distributor can also be comply for the different distributors as well. So always you need to keep in mind that how you are scaling out this different the solution across the different areas, and to scale out them, you need a containerized kind of technology which can help you do it. Also, using the open sources, or using the big and diverse data coming from different sources, your platform has to be scalable enough to support this diversity coming to your platform, and that can be run on the top of the scalable infrastructure. And definitely is the way you realize of connectivity to the diverse process. So these are the main ingredient that I would say are very important then when it comes to to defining the architecture. Importantly, the I think key takeaway that we need to have. So everything we do, we should be definitely pay for what we do. There are a lot of technologies available that we use it here. Yeah, we'd say first to start small. When you are starting, first try to gather your data. So it's again step-by-step approach that we need to take to make it the comprehensive information data management. Then you try the delivery of a visualization that you wanted to build it on, and that's where you unifying your data, getting all the data sets together, looking into that whether you get the meaningful data outcome for that not. Then you build the initial machine learning model, which can be used for the machine learning use cases as such, and then deployment of a machine learning or deep learning into the production use cases. And with that, you could, augment the whole your end-to-end business process for the realization. So it's always a step-by-step process to realize your enterprise AI strategy as such, and you always take the one step at a time to move to the next level to realize it, and then you will learn from each of your ways whether it's possible or not. But I would say you should have this big vision in mind that you have to consume it, this outcome into the larger way, so your business can impact and show the value of the AI project that you are driving. If you start with the Excel sheets and the dummy data and all those kind of prediction, you can start it, but they can be stay on the POC mode. If you have to really want to get that into the production mode, then you have to think about this complete life cycle management from an end-to-end perspective. So yeah, that's what I had to share with you, and I would say, yeah, thank you for the session, and back to you, Josh. If you have some questions, I'll be more than happy to have this interaction.
Fantastic, Rahul. We had a number of questions that came up. Unfortunately, we only have a couple of minutes left, so I'm gonna pick on perhaps the most frequent question, maybe the most common theme that emerged on the commentary. First of all, what a wonderful presentation. You have covered, from hype versus reality, all the way to how to build, your AI deployment if in the enterprise. Very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. Lots of great compliments on many topics that you discussed. I have time for one question, and I'm going to focus on if I'm setting up my organization for successful enterprise AI adoption. And there's a lot of different things related to that, but specifically talk a little bit about the choice between commercially available AI models and systems versus open source, especially if you're not a very large organization with lots of resources. Any suggestions there about going open source versus checking commercially available systems?
Yeah, great question, Jose. And I think that this is what the maybe the many startups as well as the many of the consumer would get started with. So I would suggest there are been the lot of open source models available. There are the many tools. I mean, there are dozens and dozens of tools which are available to get started. I think get started with your Jupyter notebook, import the models that you have based on the problem that you defined there. And there are the open source tool available for doing pipelining, the open source tool available for defining your end-to-end solutions. There are open source tool available for making it more enterprise ready scalable architecture as well. So I would suggest that first, I mean, even the big organization for that matter, right? They also would start with open source itself, because nowadays every big organization has constrained with the budgets, and they also want to get started in the slow pace. But always remember that wherever we start with open source as well, you keep your end goal in the mind, that you have to connect back to the business value. You have to get that to the complete assembly line aspects, right? So you get your data from your production system, and how you are going to feed back that loop after you take your AI inference, and that learning can come back to the production system again. So connecting those systems together using the open source technology is also a great idea, and that's where I would say even the big companies are leveraging to develop their small project. There are a lot of tooling come, but when you go to the advanced and you really realize the value of it, and you are getting the benefit of it, and it's scaling out, you could look at to migrate to some of the expensive tools which provide you the big resilience and high availability and stuff like that. But if you once your approach is right, and all these pieces that you saw with the assembly line, you put maybe the open source components which are available there, and you can make the circle complete, and you connect them together as well. That's an important integration part in the complete game. And if you do that, I think you can get started to get a lot of advantage of them.
Rahul, terrific session. Thank you so much. There are many questions that we couldn't get to, but here's what I'm going to suggest to all of our participants. Check out the link that we have for the conference on LinkedIn. Under my name, Enterprise Architecture Europe Live. You see lots of comments in there. You can post your questions directly under that link, but also you can have access to Rahul directly, because he's listed as a speakers and as one of the speakers, and you can see his LinkedIn connection right there. So go ahead, use that post to pose your additional questions, and also a way of connecting with Rahul directly. Again, thank you, Rahul, so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise with our global audience. It's always a masterclass, and it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's pleasure is mine, Jose, and always happy to be work with you on the conference. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was Rahul Lodhe, the Senior Director for SAP Artificial Intelligence, sharing his insights on AI enterprise adoption. Terrific session. We're going to be taking a break now, and when we come back at the top of the hour, we're going to shift gears with an enterprise architecture leader at the Mayo Clinic, and he's going to talk about the enterprise architect as a troubleshooter. You don't have to go very far to know where this type of approach is necessary. You just have to look at what happened to Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, and the outage that they had, and you know that there were some pretty busy enterprise architects in that organization troubleshooting problems. So Scott Whitmire, who is a research manager and system architect for the Precision Neurotherapeutics program at the Mayo Clinic, will be with us, and we'll talk about enterprise architect as a troubleshooter. So you don't want to miss that session. We'll take a break now, and we'll see you back at the top of the hour.